Okay. Okay, I'm going to call to order the Newburgh School District Board of Directors meeting for March 11th, 2025. And we'll do the flag salute with Director Wolfer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mr. Parker, do you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to just take a couple of moments. Tonight, I come before you with kind of a sad heart. Our district has lost a valued colleague and friend this morning. We received the sad news that Lori Rainey, a longtime third grade teacher at Maple Rush, passed away. For the past 9 years, Lori's been an integral part of the Newburgh Dundee school system and also the Maple Rush community. She left a lasting impact on her students, their families, and her colleagues. She's more than just an educator. She was a mentor, a role model, and a source of unwavering support and kindness. Lori's dedication to her students was evidence right up to the very end. She wanted to stay working as long as possible. That's where she found a lot of joy. So where her influence will live on in the countless lives she's touched, and her absence will be deeply felt. We ran a flight team response today at the school with both help of administration, substitutes, and then our counselors over there in a flight team response. Tomorrow we'll be talking with kids in the morning about this. And so again, just a very, as we process this loss, I think everyone's kind of just remembering her incredible dedication and the difference that she made. So again, just a sad day for us.
Well, thank you for that commentary. And it is a tough community. It's a small community, and I'm sure she's much beloved by everybody that she came into contact with. So thank you. Okay, we are now going to recess to executive session per ORS 192.6602H to consult with legal counsel regarding the legal rights and duties of the public body with regard to current litigation or likely to be filed. Media and executive session, representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. We will hold our executive session in the superintendent's office for the duration. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session. Okay, we'll adjourn right now.
Do this.
Okay, thank you. We're calling back to order the Newburgh School District Board meeting for March 11th. And we have review agenda additions and or deletions.
Yeah, I'd like to add an action item for regarding a legal settlement and have it
I'm going to do it right now.
right now, if there's a second.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Any questions? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so I have a statement I'm going to read. The Newburgh School District has settled lawsuit with former Superintendent Dr. Stephen Phillips. We've reached a settlement resolving the $2.5 million lawsuit Dr. Phillips filed against the school district. While the district maintains that Dr. Phillips' termination was justified based on clear and substantial concerns about his leadership and adherence to board policies, settling this matter now is the most fiscally responsible course of action. The district has agreed to pay $135,000, and PACE, the district's insurance carrier, will contribute $15,000. And PACE has covered all of the attorney's fees that the district would have been responsible for. While litigation can be necessary, the cost of extended legal proceedings would have imposed a significant financial strain on the district, resources that could have been better used to support students, staff, and educational programs. By settling, the district avoids the uncertainty and expense of a court trial while remaining focused on delivering high-quality education for all students. We believe the board's decision to terminate Dr. Phillips to terminate Dr. Phillips was justified, and we stand by the investigators' findings. At the same time, settling this lawsuit allows us to move forward, avoid unnecessary legal costs, and stay focused on serving our students and community. The district reaffirms its commitment to strong leadership and financial accountability with this resolution.
With that, I move that the Newburgh School Board approve the March 3rd settlement agreement with Dr. Phillips and authorize Chair Bridges to sign the release recommended by legal counsel.
Second.
Any questions? Further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. This is actually a lot with new hires and resignations. And is there anything that you want to say, but turn on your mic before?
We do this every year as part of the law around, we have to notify, if we're non-renewing contracts, we have to notify by March 15th. And so this is kind of our normal process of notifying folks. There are a couple of folks who are on temporary contracts are automatically non-renewed. It often does not have anything to do with performance. It's just the fact that their contract is temporary. So that's what you have before you.
Can I ask a clarifying question
Sure.
about one of the, it's under item 1, personal recommendations, accept probationary license administrator contract working back?
Yeah.
For Mrs. Arion, are we, is there an announcement that needs to be made here, or is something happening?
No, it's the normal process when an employee wants to retire and work back as part of our, contract language with our license group and with our administrators. This is kind of that normal, they have to go through a process where they retire and then there's a working back phase. It doesn't really change anything except where some of the money, specifically PERS, goes to a different place. Instead of going into their PERS accounts, it now goes to fund the unfunded liability. So it goes straight to them. It used to be that we didn't, for retired folks, we didn't have to pay their PERS. And the law that was passed that allowed somebody to work back now sends that money to PERS to help pay for that retirement.
I thank you for the clarification, but is it, so if it's effective April 1st, is it just through the rest of the school year, or is it also, can it continue through next year as well, or?
It can continue through next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also like to point out, the Rotary Club, the Early Birds, donated $400 to Mabel Rush Elementary Resource Room. And there was a very generous $350 donation anonymous to the Newburgh School District. Don't know who anonymous is, but thank you very much. Any further questions about the consent agenda?
I do. We're voting on these different pages separately? Is that correct?
No, it's all,
Okay, just
Part-
it has the recommendations on different pages.
yeah, if we needed to pull one
Yeah,
out, that's
thank
how we would do it, but we'll do all of those.
There is one issue with the meeting minutes. It says that I did the flag salute and it was Director Wolfer.
Okay,
Just
well,
For what
we'll
it's worth.
correct that. Thank you very much. So we need a motion with the correction to indicate that Director Allen did not do the flag salute as amended.
I move that the Newburgh School District Board of Directors approve the consent agenda as amended.
second.
Any further questions? I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. This is the time now for public forum. If there's any individuals that had expressed an interest in coming forward. No. Okay, fabulous. Well, then let's move right into the reports, presentations, and discussion. Finance Committee audit update, Director Hayden.
Yeah, thank you. There is a 9-page, basically what I've called the community report. It's really kind of finance advisory committee report. It's in the packet. Looks like it starts on page 14 in the PDF counting of the packet. I did ask the board via email if you can kind of pre-read this because it's 9 pages. Now the last 5 is very much technical timeline and very specifics what happened in that timeline in a matrix. So I'm kind of showing this to the audience. I know it's not going to be presented, but you'll be able to access this later. And so I just kind of want to go high level of what, so we have kind of broken down different parts. We have the preamble, and that's really how, and it's like 2 paragraphs, like how the advisory committee came to be and what we were tasked with, right? And so that's the explanation of that. Summary of key financial events. Again, I'll just call out a couple things. That one, again, is just kind of an explanation of what happens during last school year. In May 2024, the Budget Committee received the proposed new budget as the budget following year was reviewed as compared to 2023 actuals, and questions emerged, right? So that's kind of just a narrative around that. And the next section is just general fund financial comparison through 2020-21 school year through 2023-24 school year. And this is actual funds, this isn't like a budgeted, because I actually asked a question today, and one of our committee members and budget members, Claire, she answered immediately, like, why isn't contingencies? There's contingencies on a spot of this matrix, but why isn't really in it? So, well, these are actuals. These aren't budgets and the lump sum of what could be there. Not this is how much money came in. This is how much money was spent. So, and I'm going to call it the first mini paragraph there. In reviewing the general fund actual revenue, expenditure, and fund balance from 2021 through 23-24, the fund balance declined by 10.5 million over 3 years. Revenue declined by 810,000, while expenditures grew by 8.1 million over the same period. A lot of these details that's in it, we've talked about it over the last almost year now, on and off, and different things. This is just a concise way of putting this together. We had a subcommittee, about 4 individuals that actually worked on this before even the bigger finance committee came together and looked at it. And they did a lot of great work. We had some small modifications, and they turned it around immediately, that night or the next day, actually. So it was great teamwork. And then the next major section, a couple sections, is what happened 23-24. Again, more of a narrative about the general fund beginning balance was a 7.7 million positive. Then we ended with a negative 1.2 million. Again, these are actuals after we've reconciled everything over the last year, or Gay Ellen and her person, contractor Andre Shellhouse. So they worked on all those numbers, right? And so, and then it's just so that's what happened section. Then really is what's next steps, right? We've already made significant progress. There was the interim director Jacobson and the contractor Andre. They worked to reconcile accounts, financial controls, financial statements, etc. And then goes into hired Dave Parker, who he hired Nate. And then just our last kind of statements of wanting to present this and present to the community is the district continues to build upon these foundations by implementing systemic improvements in financial management practices to ensure long-term fiscal stability and sustainability. Then after that, then it goes into the, again, 5 pages of matrices of a lot of details. So I guess we're just kind of presenting this, and if you have questions, we will answer them from me and Saul's perspective. We may have to go back to the committee if we don't understand it, or Nate's, since Nate's here. But yeah.
I just want to say thank you. I think this is posted on the website under the agenda so any public can see
Yep.
it. And I remember when this first came up and Director Allen said, how did we get here? And I think this explains very clearly how we got here and what happened to the budget. And I just think all the community members and the board members that worked on this, this was, I think, an outstanding contribution.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. Really appreciate you guys' hard work and the whole committee on that. And I really liked how you guys did the not only the narrative, but also the timeline. When I was reviewing this before tonight's meeting, that was really helpful for me because I mean, we were on the board and we were dealing with all this, and it was hard to keep track of everything that happened. And this really helped remind me, and I hope the public, what happened when, and really put it in there, because otherwise it was really confusing on how we got there. And this really laid it out really well and different in multiple different ways. So I just really appreciated that myself and wanted to thank you both and to the rest of your committee members for all the hard work on this.
Yeah, the teacher in me loved this because I am very much a visual learner. So the table is speaking my language, but I know that other people can understand it better through the narrative. So just like everybody here, thank you so much. And thank you to the volunteer members of the Finance Advisory Committee, who I know have worked very, very hard on this. And I do hope that members of the public seek this out on our website and give it a read, because it's useful information. And it's good for everyone to understand all of this and how we truly got here.
Well, and I'll just add my kudos. You guys worked hard. I know, popped in on one meeting, but you guys worked really hard. But this becomes a great historical narrative for what happened in a very chaotic moment in Newburgh's history of chaotic moments. And what I think you've done so well is just capture it in a very non-emotional, this is just the facts as they were. It's not politically driven. It does not read in any type of way, shape, or form other than just it's the facts. And that's what happened. And that's a really important document for our community to be able to see. So thanks for your leadership on that.
I just want to say thank you to the Finance Advisory Committee members, because they did a lot more work overall, I feel like, in teaching me to be better about my role in district finances. So any of those meetings definitely could be helpful for everybody if you get a chance to go through. But for this document especially, thank you to that committee for doing this hard work.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say the same thing as Director Allen did. I was just there to help to lead, and he was there, my sidekick. The brain trust of those committee members were phenomenal. The knowledge that, we had 3 directors of finance within that, including our own, and just like, you just, you had a bunch of different perspectives. Everybody's worked in these different small to large districts, some park and rec districts. And so everybody was able to definitely bring in their expertise to it. So I will pass on and extend that even more. And I know we've already communicated that to them on the last meeting, but yeah, so thank you.
I'll add one more thing. Really appreciate in here too, how it kind of showed that the budget committee coming together really helped catch it in the first place. And I just want to point out that between the budget committee and the finance advisory committee, we've really seen this community step up and help us in crisis over the last year and get through this. And that was just really heartening to see is not only did the community catch it, community members then helped fix it, and these issues aren't going to happen moving forward. And it's just it just really showed how strong to even have in some of the divisive things that have occurred in the past. It was really heartening to see the community come together and pour into our schools and come together as a community to fix it. So I just want to put that out there to everyone who's involved in any way, shape, or form with this, and all the other efforts that we saw, and people volunteering. We had people volunteering to mow lawns and things like that. So I just really want to put that out there to the community. Thank you all for your work on this.
We will move on to our next agenda item. Mr. Byerly, would you like to come up and join, maybe sit next to Nate? That's the hot seat. Approach with caution. So for the board members, we have, and for Mr. Byerly, we have a selection of 10 questions that we traditionally ask. And I think we can just round robin it, start with Saul. And so that's 1, 2, oh, sorry. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, oh. I thought there were 4. Okay. So we'll just go around. So we have an opportunity to get to know Mr. Byerly a little bit. These are very simple questions. I think you know all the answers to them. So we will start with Director Allen.
Very nice to meet you. So why do you want to serve on the Newburgh Dundee School Board of Directors?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair Bridges. Thank you, directors, and Dave. It's a pleasure to be able to sit with you tonight, even though the seat is warm. So the question of why I'm applying for this vacancy, I believe that I have a skill set that could help the board pick up where you've been and continue to help open a new chapter for Newburgh. Personally, I'm a 20-year resident of Zone 1 in Newburgh Dundee Public Schools. I have served this district as an employee. My children have been enrolled here since kindergarten. And so on a personal level, I have very much that fire in my belly for a dad who wants his kids to have the best education they can have. On a personal or on a professional level, I've spent over 18 years in education. I did my student teaching at Dundee Elementary and taught in this district for 9 years. I've served both in the classroom and out of the classroom. I've served as an administrator, as an instructional coach. I currently serve as the math assessment specialist for the Oregon Department of Education. And in all of that, I feel like I've gotten the opportunity to serve in education and seen systems work for kids in so many different ways. And I want to bring that experience here to the board. And I will end this answer by saying, Director Wolfer, you talked about how so many in the community have stepped up. And that's how I'm naturally wired as well, is to step up. And I will tell you that given my personal and my professional experience, there's sometimes you get that feeling of the arc of who you are and what you've done just sort of bends to this moment. And I really feel like that's true, where my perspective and experience is could be really helpful to the board. Thank you.
All right, my turn. What is the role of a school board?
Great question. The role of a school board includes both governance and management. So in one side, the board sets policy and implements policy for the district. The board also is tasked with hiring and evaluating a superintendent, right? Our one employee. And I will say, connected with that, there needs to be a trust built between the board and the superintendent to allow that leader to lead and to implement their vision. The board also provides, as we're seeing, you all just discussed a moment ago, financial oversight and oversight to curriculum. And I believe that boards have a responsibility to engage the community that we're serving.
Thank you.
Okay, what do you think are the most pertinent issues facing Newburgh Dundee School District?
Yeah. Well, again, what you all were discussing, I think one of our biggest jobs right now is to bring some financial stability to the district and to begin to move forward through that. So that's a high priority. Academic excellence, I think, is a high priority. I mentioned that kind of fire in my belly. I know that many of you also are parents of children in the district, and you have that same sense of we want our schools to be absolutely the best they can be for our kids, provide the highest quality education, a variety of programming, and it takes some talented staff to make that happen. And so, connected with that, I'm hopeful that we can continue to attract and recruit high quality educators to our district and school leaders and district leaders, and support them in their ongoing professional learning. So those are two high priorities for us as I see it.
Thank you.
I wanted to tell you, thank you for your extensive application. I feel like we're kind of, if anybody's read it, it's online. And if they haven't read it, it's all online in the board packet. And I feel like we're kind of just repeating many of the things that you said in your application, but it's good to hear it verbally.
Absolutely.
So what do you hope to accomplish as a member of the Newburgh Dundee School Board of Directors?
Yeah, I will say that I struggled with the question that was similar to this in the application because I feel like, I certainly have my own experiences professionally and personally. I also feel a very strong responsibility to do this work together. And so I think that, what I might want, I answered in the previous question. I think, financial stability and some safeguards there. I think academic excellence and a rigorous education for students. But I think to respond, Director Woodward, to your question, I would say I want to be present in the community to bring voices and perspectives here. I think it's really important for boards who aren't in classrooms, who aren't in schools, to stay connected to the work that is happening there. And that's what I would hope to bring here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Your next question, do you have any special interests related to schools in addition to math testing?
Again, I think my interests are really to bring a variety of voices and perspectives here. I think another interest that I have, as I mentioned, I do work for the Oregon Department of Education, and civil service has been really important to me. And we do that work best, and we honor our community when we do that openly and honestly and transparently. And so in terms of special interests, I'm interested in serving with integrity and representing the people of this community.
Thank you.
Oh, I think you've probably answered this question already in any of your other responses, but I'm going to read it. It's the next one up. So what special attributes, talents, and abilities will you bring to the school board?
I learned a new one today, as a matter of fact. I learned that I can wrangle chickens.
Oh,
As I walked by Director Nichols' house today, there were some chickens in the driveway. So that's one, should that become a need for the board. People have described me as being very collaborative, to being a critical thinker, being someone who's open and a good listener, and someone who asks good questions. So I would hope to bring those here. I also talked about my experience as an educator. I think that it's important for boards to have the perspective of educators and leaders that are helping to make the district run every single day. So I would bring those with me for sure.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions or concerns about the work of the school board?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, there's always, we always don't know what we don't know. And so I know that it will take me some time to understand the ins and outs of how boards function and all of the processes that and policies that we have. That said, I'm a pretty quick learn, and I've already started taking a deep dive into some of our policies. I think very specifically, I'm interested in learning more about the board's priorities that you all have set and how you all see those moving forward. So that's a kind of a specific one that I have, specific question I have.
Once appointed, you would have to run for the position at the next school board election time, and there may be competition. Are you interested in officially running for the position in spring 2025?
I am, yes. And regardless of an appointment decision this evening, I've already filed my candidacy and in the process of launching my campaign. Yes.
Do you have a priority concern regarding the district that has not been discussed this evening?
Make sure your chickens stay in there. No.
Especially with the price of eggs these days.
I know.
Seems very fiscally a little like irresponsible.
I don't think so. I think I've been able to speak to a lot of my hopes and my experience. I will say that in terms of general topics, as my own children have gotten older and have moved through Edwards Elementary and Mountain View and now the high school, I've seen how vital the elements that we are about as a district outside of the classroom are. So both of them have been in the dual language program. That's been an incredible gift to them, both in terms of language and culture. Career and technical education, this community has been a strong supporter, both through the recent bond and historically, of career and technical education, performing arts. And I was very excited amidst all of the budget conversations over the summer that we were able to not cut any of those programs. And so I'm grateful for your leadership in that space and keeping those programs accessible and available. But those are also things that I'm interested in continuing to talk about, how we can open doors of opportunity for our students.
Okay, so then I have the last question. The school board meets on the second and fourth evening. Isn't that right? Second and fourth Tuesday evening, plus on other designated dates. Occasionally, there are extra meetings and or committee meetings at other times. Also, there are opportunities to attend school events both days and evenings. It's a lot of questions, actually. What challenges do you anticipate in meeting time commitments?
Yeah, good question. I feel like I feel clear about pursuing this opportunity in ways that have led me to figure out how I can take some other things off of my plate and at the same time continue to support my family's needs. So, for example, I was immersing myself in a 94-page board packet to try to get an idea of how to prepare for the meeting. I understand that in addition to meetings, the board meetings, there are committee meetings, and that there's some responsibilities of board members to serve on those committees. And as I've mentioned, my intention is to be present in the community and to be participating where our students and families are. And so I'm aware that that will be some additional time on evenings and weekends and yeah.
My question is, do you have any questions for us? That's not on the list.
She's going off script here.
Throw in a curveball.
What is the chair to do about such a situation?
I think I have a couple of questions. I'm going to ask you all that same question that you just asked me, Chair Bridges, and that is, what was your experience in adjusting to the time commitments of serving on the board?
Well, I'd say that probably Director Woodward and I had an unusual dip in the pool at the deep end for the last 2 years. It has taken an extraordinary amount of time to get us to where we are today. So we may not necessarily be the right gauge, although I would say I work, I have family commitments, I'm involved in the community in many, many, many ways. And this, I've just made room for it because I've just loved being part of this group and this work that I have found to be very important. So it's all about sort of being flexible and having family that understand that. And we all do and have had, I think, really great attendance. This one shows off and attends from Malaysia at times. So, there are opportunities where if you have to be away, but you can participate. So, I've just, for me personally, it has been a lot, but I don't regret the work that I've put into the last 2 years.
And thank you for your leadership.
I may also put out there that I think being appointed is a unique situation. And it does feel a bit like you're being dropped in. But at the beginning of my appointment, it was communicated to me that I'm entitled to information, just like every citizen is. And as teachers, we always say, don't forget to ask questions. And there are no dumb questions. And I have found that the board and our administration have just been wonderful with answering every little question that I may have. So I think being in an educational environment, you would be very comfortable seeking out the information that you'd be curious about to get you settled.
Thank you. That's good to know.
Yeah, I'll say it has settled down quite a bit. I mean, we obviously closed a chapter tonight, and I hope and anticipate that as we've moved forward, things are going to be more of a normal commitment. But even so, there are things, part of the job of this board is to put out fires when they happen. I've had to use vacation time for things. And as was mentioned earlier, having an understanding family is really part of that because this was a commitment. My daughter goes to kindergarten next year, and kind of like you're talking about, I wanted to make sure that, the whole reason I did this is to make sure there was a school for her to go to. And so that was a commitment I made and to my family in this community. And so I just keep that in mind when I do so. And yeah, that's been my experience. But there's also a lot of months where there isn't a lot of extra stuff, and that's really great. And I feel like we're moving in that direction again. So hopefully, knock on wood, that's what we continue to have is those kind of things. And it's just, a couple meetings a month and some committee meetings and things like that. So.
Thank you.
I'll just add one more thing is I have noticed a real appreciation from the school community and the community as a whole for participation and going to the plays and going to events at the school and being present in the school in a way that is, positive and helpful. Scooping ice cream at Chehalem Valley Middle School, which was like a I Love Lucy episode because it was like so hot. We were trying to get all of these little cones filled, but there's just people have been very appreciative of the presence of being, in the schools and showing interest. And so I think that's to the extent that folks have the time to do is an important part of being a part of the board too. So. But with that, Jeremy, did you want to say?
Yeah, I'll bring in a little bit different perspective. There's been even other board members have made a kind of comment to me. It's like, I don't know why, but you may be getting bombarded by just community members and like, why are they asking you all these questions? Why they come to you? And it's like, at this point, just listen to them and don't be afraid to, if you feel a question needs to be asked or addressed further up, don't be afraid to address it. I think it is on us though to decipher if it's appropriate or not to whatever, or just let it go, fizz out, because it should go up a proper chain. And I've had a lot of discussions where well, did you address it with the teacher? And then did you address it with the administration at that school? Because that does have a proper channel, but I know that was probably the most shocking thing for me. I knew the time commitment was going to be there. I have older kids, so it wasn't going to be too big of an issue there from a family perspective. But yeah, just to kind of bring in that perspective for you to answer your question. So I do have one quick question for you.
Mhm.
I know you were a Newburgh educator, but on here it just says you're currently employed at ODE. Like what were your years here in Newburgh, and where were you at?
Yeah, good question. I served the district from 2007 through 2016, and that doesn't include my student teaching at Dundee. So I guess from 2006 through 2016. And my classroom was at Mountain View Middle School. So I taught math and science, engineering, and technology. This was actually right before we called it STEM, but it would be called STEM now, or STEAM. And then in the 2011 bond, I was able to be released from classroom duties. And I reported to Dave, actually, at that time. He was my first boss outside of the classroom. And I was supporting some elements related to that bond. So we were able to get a bunch of classroom technology. So I was training teachers, I was co-teaching, and I did that up until the point that I left the district.
Great, thank you.
Further questions for us?
Can I ask one more question? I should have asked this one first because this is the one I'm most interested in. You all, in your words, closed an important chapter this evening. And as you think about moving forward, what excites you? And I kind of don't want you to think about it. I kind of want just like, what's your instinct? What's your gut response to that? Like what excites you about moving forward in your role?
I am excited to be talking about what's going on in classrooms and what we can do to impact students, not about high level things that aren't impacting students. I think that's something that was really exciting about being on the school board was trying to uplift what's happening there and really feel like the last year has been less than stellar in that regard. So very excited.
Yeah, I would agree. Getting the focus back on the kids and the families, the teachers and the support staff, they all need attention too, but it's really, our product is kids, right? So I want to get back 100% focus on that. There was between the budget and other stuff, it felt like there was only down to 10% was about that. And now I think we can get closer to 90 to 100% attention. That'd be great. So
I'll say, kind of echoing that, but so much I feel like we've done in the last year or even more has just been trying to move the district forward and put out fires, like I mentioned earlier, and save the district, right? It's kind of how it felt. I'm looking forward to now doing things that we've all talked about, making about the kids, but also ways to improve it, like leave this better than we found it. I want to walk away from this, whenever that is, knowing that that the last half, of this term, and if I do anything in the future, that was what we did, and that I'm looking forward to passing things and putting things on the agenda that we're excited about, that the kids are excited about, and that will help make this district, the best district for our kids that it can possibly be. So that's what I'm really excited about, and that we can start moving forward in that direction.
Deb and I went to a training early on when we were first elected by the Oregon School Boards Association, and there's a direct correlation about the percentage of time a school board spends talking about education in the classroom and student scores. And so if you can get to 80% of your time being really talking about curriculum and what's happening and how that's affecting students, then student scores goes up. And so even though I'm close to the end of my 2 years on the board, I really feel like that goal, I know that we've talked about the goal, but I see fellow board members really striving for that now, that if the time of the board can be spent on that, then it'll make a difference in the classroom.
Yeah, echoing that, I think I'm most excited right now about board action that we can take, or even time that we can focus as a board that is going to result in academic achievement, or just achievement. It doesn't have to be all academic, for our students. And I'm really excited about some of the data that we will be seeking out in the next year or so And I'm also very excited about the focus that was communicated to us by staff members that there is a need and a desire for more professional development. And I think supporting that for educators is going to be really important moving into academic achievement in the coming years.
Great, thank you.
And I guess I'll just add, I'll be excited not to deal with litigation because it's been a big distraction for the work that we've done, as you've heard from everybody. I'm also, it's always nice to hear the professionals in the district come and talk about really the good work that is going on in the schools and, refocus that energy, as you've heard all of us talk about, as to the day in, day out, helping students achieve and moving the district into a real positive position. And I'm just very excited for what's on the horizon for us and recognize that, we have challenges with, federal issues and funding and whatnot. But I think that we're in a place of commitment by this group to be positive and to focus our energies on what supports students. So that's what's exciting for me.
Excellent. Thank you all very much.
Okay.
One last thing that I wanted to just share is I mentioned I work for the Oregon Department of Ed. I did reach out to the Oregon Government Ethics Commission about whether I needed to disclose that in any particular way, and I do not. I've also reached out to my human resources team at the agency. So nothing prevents me from serving in a director position on the board. Just know that there may be topics that do present a potential or actual conflict of interest that I would have to recuse myself from. So,
Great. Well, thank you very much.
thank
If
you.
you'd like to go back to would you turn the mic off? There you go. Thank you very much. Okay, so at this point, is there any discussion, any motions that anybody might want to?
I move to appoint Andy Byerly to the vacant Zone 1 position.
Second.
Any further questions? I would like to call for
I'll just, as a discussion point, wanted to say I'm very excited about Mr. Byerly's educational background. As someone who doesn't have that, I'm really excited to see more of that on this board. And I think that's the future of the board and the district, is seeing that kind of person serving. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm very excited for his and for your background, and very excited to see what that can be brought to the board.
Okay. No further ado, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Byerly. Would you like to come take a seat? Up. Time to get to work. It's not. It shouldn't be.
It's just a voting seat now.
Yes, we do have lots of things. Welcome. This is very exciting. I'm very excited. Okay. Mr. Hampton, I'm sure it won't be as exciting. Oh, wait, do we have the swearing in?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do.
We need to do a swear in real quick.
But
we
do
have
we have
that?
the document? I didn't see it in the packet. We are going to take a quick break,
5 minute.
commercial break, real quick. There's a swearing in document.
Order.
Coming back to order. Thank you from our break. So you now have the document to read. Okay.
Is there, it sounds like you might have someone out there that wants to film. Come on up if you want. That's fine. Your family. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you want to, yeah, if you're filming. So
Right here. Proud moment. Yeah.
All right. I, Andrew J. Byerly, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the laws thereof, and the policies of Newburgh Dundee Public Schools 29J. During my term, I will faithfully and impartially discharge the responsibilities of the school board member to the best of my ability.
and now it's official.
Now it's official.
Uh,
Thanks, everybody. Takes a village. Okay, now, Mr. Hampton, you may approach. And thanks. Okay, all right. Okay, so you're here to talk to us about the Ewing Young roof and the physical plan metal roof overlay project.
Yeah, and actually the Ewing Young, it's not the roof, it's rooftop units. It's a couple of big HVAC units that.
That's on page 20. If anybody wants it, it's on page 27 of the board.
Yeah,
book.
it says Maple Rush, but
Yeah.
you know,
Ewing Young.
it's really Ewing Young. Oh, okay, maybe that got fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says Ewing Young on
Thank you
our
to Nancy for catching
board packet.
the error that we made. Which one is first? Is Ewing Young
It's
first?
Ewing Young.
Okay. And just real briefly, again, these Ewing Young has a fairly simple HVAC system. There's a huge old boiler that just keeps cranking away in my little room. But then basically the movement of the air in the building and then the air conditioning that's provided are by rooftop units. And the two units that are there now are very much on their last legs. They we struggle to keep them working at all. They're past the point of following any instructions we give them through our control system. We're just happy if they actually work and provide some heating and cooling. So definitely need to be replaced. And, here as we're towards the tail end of the bond, again, a big enough items that it's a big hit to a regular budget, but the bond can handle that and what we have remaining. And my question has continued to be over the last several months and 6 months, really, as we're getting to the end and most of our big projects are done, is, okay, is this going to last 8 to 10 years? Because in all likelihood, the next bond will be 8 to 10 years from now. If the answer is no, and it's a big ticket item, can we get this, can we somehow get this done? So this is one of those things, and very necessary. And it's a fairly simple thing. It's actually a like for like. And so really taking the two off, obviously it'll involve a crane, but swinging these on some hookup, but some of the quickest projects probably will have, just because it's fairly self-contained that way. So.
Is this a wait for summer or get it going as soon as possible?
I think, we're not going to do the actual removal and putting it back on while there's kids in the building, because we're talking about pretty heavy things flying up above. But we are working towards, getting, with a lot of these kind of units, there's a somewhat long period, you order it and it's coming. I think it's about 15 weeks. I think I've heard 12 to 15. So, but in all likelihood, it will probably be in June, later June, so that we don't have to worry about kid stuff. There's not very many non-school days between now and then, after spring break, and spring break is too soon for us to have it. So
You think that this will, no problem, last 8 to 10 years then? So that was my takeaway, that you don't have any doubts that this will last 8 to 10 years?
oh yeah, yes. Oh no, they have a life of, I mean, just a normal life of about 20
Okay.
years. Often the school district often gets a little more out of some of these kinds of equipment because we're not working them 100% every day of the year. You know, we have downtimes, so, I mean, the units that we have now are more like 25 years old with a 20-year life, so we're getting more out of them. But yes, they are designed to last quite a while.
My other question is just, I always like to get a better understanding of the bid tabulation form. Any reason to be suspect of the fairly dramatic difference in their bid compared to the others?
I have to be somewhat diplomatic here. We, as in most, in everything, all of the bigger projects we've had, we've only, companies have to be somewhat at least pre-approved to even to bid on them. We have had HydroTemp, we did not necessarily hire them for things, but they did all of the work at the high school for the new building at the high school. They've done work at some of the other schools. They are a company that does a lot of work around that for a lot of the big contractors hire them. They tend to be cheaper. The one thing I will say, on a few smaller projects, we've had a little bit of challenge in having the highest quality work from them, and we've expressed that to them. You are the low bidder. They're the low bidder by a pretty good margin, so it wasn't like we felt like we could just say, forget them. But also we felt like we could tell them, we've had your A game on some situations and not your A game in others, and if you want to do this work, we need your A game. So that's been communicated, and we will keep on top of that. The other thing that makes it a little simpler is, like I said, these are 2 units that just get put up there. We actually have a different company that has done all of our controls work in the district, and they will be doing the controls hookup. So there's also not a lot of places where they can not do a good job. Yeah, but that's a good question.
Thank you. I move that the Newburgh Dundee Public School Board of Directors approve the intent to award Ewing Young RTU project to Hydro Temp Mechanical Inc. as presented.
Second.
Any further questions? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
And just so
unanimously.
it's not like an R2 unit, like in Star Wars. It's RTU. It's, rooftop unit. That's all it is. So
Okay.
not that
So
exciting.
it doesn't have any sass and beeps back at you or anything?
I hope not. I hope it just works. Follows directions.
Larry, I have to confess, as a board member, I'm not familiar with construction. And when it kept saying RTU, and I said, so it's roof, and I was trying to figure it out. I actually Googled it to make sure it was roof.
Yeah, sometimes.
There wasn't a glossary for it.
Yes. HVAC can be like the military, or education, just all kinds of acronyms.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next one that you have, Larry.
Yep.
So that is the physical plant metal roof project.
Yeah, and what again, just briefly, the physical plant buildings have metal roofs, which last a long time, but all of the buildings have for quite a while. The one building that's the grounds, like tractors and mowers and stuff are in, it used to have kind of skylight things, and now there's just big holes there. So that one really needs, but the others too, you know, and we, like with a lot of things, and like we've said with the district office, you know, we don't tend to give a lot of time and money to the physical plan of the district office because we want most of it to go to the schools. But this is a place where we really need to invest in our infrastructure. And so, you know, we looked at, and we had an expert come and look at it with us and basically, you know, say, well, okay, are there kind of more smaller fixes we can do, or is this something where we really need to do a replacement? And when you know, when the painted metal, when you start seeing rust through it, then it's, you know, it's breaking down. It's not going to last nearly as long anymore. And that's kind of where we are with those. And so it's interesting to me, you know, and it may not be to you, but there's what's been recommended is not taking off the old roof, the old metal. It's actually, there's a system that goes on top of that then prepares it for a new clean metal roof on top of it. And I mean, one, that allows you to do it really anytime because you're not taking the roof, you're not having it open to the elements during that time. It also gives the opportunity with the space in between, not a huge amount of space, but to put some insulation, you know, and that kind of thing as well. Anyway, it's just, that's what's been recommended, and that's what, you know, we're moving ahead with. So again, we had some good interest from companies, and we ended up, the south building that has the office in it too, we had started down a path of just doing repair, which basically taking out the screws and replacing them because it's mostly leaking but then we found out that it has nails, and those are just harder. It bends it up when you try and take them out. It just makes it a lot harder. It also, again, we would still have a fairly old metal roof on there. And so with this, all three of the buildings will just be brought up to clean, new, should last, you know, 50 to 60 years with no problem. So, yeah, it feels like a good investment for a long time.
There isn't a bid tabulation form with this one. I don't know
Okay.
if we could get that.
Yeah, we should have been. I think we had, I believe we had 3
It does say there are 3
bids.
at the front.
There was some question again. When we looked at the bids, we had the alternative on like I said, the south, I think what we called building B over there, that where I think one of the companies was lower if we didn't take the alternative, and a different one was low if we did, and we ended up taking the alternative. So that kind of changed the order a little bit, but I don't know as far as what's.
Yeah, there's no comparison. It's just, and then it just has the exhibit for Arctic only in there.
So would there be an actual bid sheet similar to?
Yeah,
The
there
other
is
one?
one. I
Okay.
mean, I know I signed it, and so in fact, I thought. I looked online, but I kind of looked briefly, and maybe I just saw the one on the RTUs and didn't see this.
Are you
We do have
comfortable
it, and
moving forward and then just getting the bid sheet, or do you want to?
I don't know if that's a necessary part of this packet or not. I would trust.
I mean, it does, that sheet does back up the
Yeah.
recommendation we're
Oh,
making to you.
I don't think
Um,
there's any nefarious
And
activity. I just wanted to make
no,
sure
and
that
that definitely can be provided. It should be
Okay, we could ask
somewhere.
the board secretary to
Yes.
send it out to
Yeah.
us tomorrow. That would be great.
Do you know what the total amount is though?
420,400. It's
Okay.
on
Yeah.
page 64
364?
under item 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna be more or less a question of like, the bid sheets are great. I'm agree with Director Allen. I'd like to see the bids and maybe ask questions from that, but do you know what this one came into as kind of what was either the forethought or the budget item for either you or Cornerstone had for this job? I mean, are we over the target or are we under?
We are over where we started with our target because we thought with the south building, we were just gonna do the smaller fix of pulling screws,
and nails,
pulling
yeah.
screws and
Yeah.
putting new screws in. Once we realized that was not going to be the case anymore, then the alternative of replacement or overlay on that one too became something we definitely needed to look at, because if we're spending as much as we were going to spend just to pull out screws and put new screws in, but again, having the same older metal that didn't feel as good at that point. So,
do you remember what the target was?
Was it the physical plant? The physical plant 3 warehouse roofs in the.
if you have that sheet that has all the different,
It was estimated at 285,000.
yeah, which, well, and I could tell you, we worked with a gentleman, Jake. I'm gonna blank on Jake's last name. Anyway, he works for TTNL Sheet Metal. They've done a ton of work here in Newburgh. He's also a parent or a past parent and has volunteered a ton for the district. So he shows up all the time. Anytime there's any work that involves sheet metal, whether it's a roofing job or whatever, he shows up. He's just one of those people that shows up. And Wable, I believe his name is. And sorry, that just blanked. So he's a resource also just for us to, kind of give us a ballpark figure on what you think this would cost. So then he did that. And then he put in a bid for us, and his was, one of the higher bids and, higher than what his estimate had been. Because sometimes that happens, he had, but anyway, so, our feeling was we saved quite a bit of money on this roof. And so had a little more leeway to be able to put more into that to actually do kind of the full work there.
It doesn't impact this decision what we'll be voting on, but I guess if anything else comes through, I guess I would like to have that sheet maybe updated every time you come forward, because we're kind of getting to the tail end of it.
Yes.
And like, how big of an impact is it? What will it make us drop something off the list if there is something on the list, right? And so
and frankly, I mean, we're definitely getting to the end. The last project that we've bid out at this point is the work at Chelan Valley and Crater to basically clean the brick and the paint areas, seal the brick, and repaint the stucco areas. Those, again, we had a pretty minimal amount in for the budget for that, and knew going in that those were going to be well eclipsed, and they were. But yes, I know, like Mary Dolan from Cornerstone has been, each time we do, she's updating that overall sheet too. And why am I blanking on people's names? I'm getting old.
Well, you're retired.
They're, again, Cornerstone is, working with the district too on, for sure, how much money is there. And,
But I like this idea.
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
bring that updated sheet each time, just so you can kind
Yeah.
of see where things are falling.
And I think it's probably would April be a good meeting to just have a touch back at
Yeah.
the bond and
the other thing is, we had some things on that list that I mean, all those things are things we'd like to do, but they're not all absolute priorities at this point. There is a point too where the district may want to decide, we've got this chunk of money left, more from the interest or whatever that came from the bond. It would be prudent to set that aside for now, not just spend every penny that we have that's come through, because next year, the year after, there may be something a little bigger that comes through that, it may not be $1 million to do a roof, but it may be a few $100,000 that, you need to replace something or whatever. And so I would definitely recommend, that and Cornerstone's feeling the same way. We're getting to that point where, yeah, we probably, like, I would love to replace a bunch of the carpet at the high school. There's 30 some rooms that it's wrinkly, it's bad. It's every year when they shampoo it, it looks terrible. But is that the priority? That's not a super high number either for that. But anyway, it could be that decision, it's a better decision to set aside some money for a contingency, because we just don't know. And again, as we all know, as you've spent so much time on, regular budgets are going to be tight. So it's going to be hard to eke out if some big, if a boiler goes down at a building, being able to eke that out of the regular budget. So to have a little bit of a extra is probably a good idea. So yeah, probably, most likely the last thing we're going to bring to you is the Crater and CV. But yes, we can absolutely revisit as well, just kind of where we are overall.
Okay, so let's circle back to this contract. And do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move that the Newburgh Dundee Public School Board of Directors approve the intent to award physical plant metal roof project to Arctic as presented.
Second.
Any further questions? Okay, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carried unanimously. So we'll plan I'll talk with Dave about an agenda item for April, because I think that might be a great time to just get where have we gone and what all have we bought, and what.
By then, we'll know for sure on things, and there'll be some things that'll be done. There'll be some things that are locked in, and we know better what we're gonna have. I just want to say also thank you to all of you for your service. Thank you to Andy for being interested in this and willing. It's been hard work and a lot of stuff that's beyond what you ever hoped you were signing up for, but it was needed, and thank you for doing it. So I know the community appreciates it a lot. So
thank you. Dave and Chair Bridges, when we do the April update, can we also have an update on the girls' locker room in the high school? I know that was an insurance issue, but can we just get an update on that? So.
Moving on. Dave, do you want to talk about the next 3 items?
So next one, these microphones are going to be the death of me. Years of experience of not using them. So move the furlough day from June 13th to February 14th, which was our snow day. We're going to change the conference schedule in April. We had a half day, well, really a half day of school and then a half day for staff. And we decided to, by collaborating with the union, to go to a full day of school on Thursday, 4 hours of conferences that night, and then Friday becomes an on-contract day. This gets us back some of that student contact time, but not all of it. And then it would change the last week of school from being Wednesday would be now be a full day of school. Thursday is a half day with a half day of prep. And then Friday becomes a full day of prep for teachers. And that's their last day.
It looks like the conference day didn't get put on the schedule in April.
So it's
It'd be the 10th.
the 10th, you see in the red there in the middle.
Thank you.
It's not denoted because there's not a clean way to kind of denote the evening conferences, but we did denote it in the text. And we'll be after tonight, we'll be communicating this if you make if we agree to this.
I remember the board discussed this in your last meeting. Are there any changes tonight based on what compared to what was discussed last time? Okay, thank you.
I move that the Newburgh Dundee Public Schools Board of Directors approve the revisions to the current academic year to account for the 2 days lost due to inclement weather in February as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor, or any further questions?
I just want to state that I really appreciate the collaboration and the quick thinking on this. I think it's a good way to increase, those incremental hours, whatever we can get with students. And I just, again, like I said, last meeting, I know that April 10th is going to be a very long day for educators, but it is also just another piece of evidence of how dedicated they are to our families and our students, that they're willing to make this change and host conferences after a full day of teaching. So I just really appreciate your leadership on this, Dave, and the collaboration that ensued. Thank you.
I will call for the vote. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
The second calendar is for next year's school year. And so this is kind of a draft. I mean, it's the base. The high school, all the different grade levels have there's some differences, but this is the base calendar for all of our groups. It has us starting after Labor Day. It has basically the main change is when we collaborated with the union around this calendar, there was a conversation about, we went from 2 full days of conferences in the fall and 2 full days in the spring. And the fall one is our best attended. And what we kind of collaborated around was to still have the 2 days in the fall and then do only 1 day in the spring. I will say that we also, in that collaboration, found out that where we had placed it before, which was April, is not very useful because the high school and secondary schools have just changed with the trimester. And so like many of the teachers have only seen those kids 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So it was like we moved it earlier in the year to try and get notice back to parents earlier and where they'll have some information to pass. It has our last day of school being on June 12th, and this calendar has no furlough days in it. We're starting our budget work from a full school calendar, and then as we balance, then we'll figure out if we can, what we have to cut to get balanced and try and keep this full school year. But that's kind of yet to be determined. And if we do propose some furlough days, we'll have to go negotiate with our union groups around that first. And with that, I would take any questions.
I noticed that October 10th is listed as an in-service day for teachers, which I greatly appreciate. This connects to what Director Nichols was talking about just in terms of valuing professional learning. I also noticed that it's not listed as a potential snow makeup day. And so I just want to say I appreciate that coming off of a calendar where we haven't had an in-service day, that we've built that into next year.
I will say that's the state in service. The SI is state in service. So it's actually a non-contract for us where the teachers can go participate in their PD outside, but it's not one that we're paying for, like we're doing PD in our inside of our district. And I say that just because of we still have real challenges right now getting enough professional development time to begin to do some of the instructional work that we want to do. So that's still kind of a challenge out in front of us. We do have a staff development day that sits on January 5th. But still very much a challenge for us.
I move that the Newburgh Dundee Public School Board of Directors approve the 2025-26 academic calendar as presented.
Second.
Any further questions? Well, if not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, last is, this is an agreement with CPRD around the Rennie Field. I presented it last time around and kind of talked through some of those issues. I think the big issues is Rennie Field is still part of our long-range facility plan as a middle school down the road. And the proposed changes that they're making are excellent. But they also just have to agree with our long-range facility plan there too. And so what this addendum to the original agreement is basically doing is in the original agreement, it didn't say that is the future site of one of our middle schools. And so this addendum makes that statement very plain that this is. And then what it does is it sets kind of a collaboration between us and CPRD that we have every 5 years that we're comparing the long-range facility plans. And we're both talking about how we want to use Rennie Field, how it can be both a resource for our community and also a resource for our students. And so those are the two big pieces in this addendum is that, yes, that will be a future school site and that we will work together to make sure that our plans don't clash, that we can work together on those pieces.
And I'd just like to make sure that we are constantly correcting anybody who says Rennie Park to Rennie Field.
Right.
Because it's not Rennie Park.
And to clarify, I remember what you presented and had us think about over since last meeting to this meeting. But right now, the current plan is what they're looking to do is upgrade the field, the track, and add some pickleballs and make it, kind of beautify it a little bit more. But the actual, if we actually do throw a school on there, is that it's not going to actually overtake that area, right? It's going to be more the baseball diamonds.
So I think,
Do we have? I mean, and maybe we don't need to discuss it now because I know you were going to address long-term plan with us in the next couple months, anyways.
no, I'd like to. I think it's valuable
Sure.
to just talk about what the general plans are right now because that's why I wanted to have this addendum is that we probably aren't looking at another middle school for 20 years. But still, I wanted to make sure that 20 years from now, there's some paperwork that talks about these pieces. And so that's the important part. The current plan has space on it for a middle school, and they used an architect who took an outline of what kind of the square footage would be for a middle school. When I last talked to them, I think January of 26 is kind of the starting line for the first parts of the improvement to Rennie Field, which are the track and the turf areas. I don't know how much further they're going to get to some of the other parts of this that they've talked about, some pickleball and that kind of thing. I think for us, the track the turf bring great value to our community, also bring great value to our school district. As we're moving forward, those are pieces that I think we're going to have more interaction with, because at the point at which we start to build a school there, they're going to need not only the space to build the school, but they're going to need a laydown area where they begin to bring in the steel and the equipment. And so those are all pieces. That's why we need to continue to meet with CPRD and kind of talk through how all of that's going to work down the road, so we aren't creating things that then we're going to be plowing up. Or, you know, that kind of thing. But that, again, I think the where they're headed, I think has great value for both the community and the school district.
Thank you.
I have a question on page 4 of 9 of this PDF, page 84.
Yeah.
The reporting that is highlighted in our version here. I'm curious, have those quarterly written reports begun? Is it possible for those to be shared with us? Or is that something that you feel like will start in earnest, you know, January 26th, once the project is actually enacted?
So 2 things. This is the agreement that's actually been agreed to.
Yeah.
It's already been signed. I don't know about these quarterly reports yet, so that'll be, I do have a meeting coming up with CPRD, so I'll bring some of this up and ask those questions for us to find out.
Okay.
Because I don't have an answer right now for that, so I'll have to check.
Thank you.
It's interesting just reading through these 2 documents, as Director Bridges said, that the addendum talks about Rennie Field, and the one that was signed almost exactly a year ago talks about Rennie Park all through it. And I think that's an important distinction for the community, that it's part of the school district. It really is part of the extension of the athletic department in some ways, that it is a field to be used by the community and the school.
So, yes, the document that was signed, it was Rennie Park. In our addendum, we definitely kind of gave it the name that we prefer to use right now, which is, I think we said the use of Rennie Park, Rennie Field. And then from that point on, we pretty much use Rennie Field. So I'll be talking with CPRD about that as we collaborate around the dual usage of the property.
I mean, we can have Rennie Park on Rennie Field, but
Well, like I said, there will be a day when none of us are here and we have to take Rennie Park back from the community, and there will be outrage. And I think that we avoid that.
Yeah.
And so, okay. Any further discussion about this issue, or can we get some motions?
I move that the Newburgh Dundee Public Schools Board of Directors approve the addendum to the intergovernmental agreement between Chehalem Park and Recreation District and the Newburgh School District as presented.
Second.
Any further questions? Now we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So I'm just realizing this next item, appoint board member to facilities committee. We don't have the motion to go with it. Is it something
I think it's just the chair does it.
I can just appoint it? Okay. Hot dog.
Pretty sure that's what.
Power is gonna go to my head. Okay, so with Director DeHart's resignation, left an opening on the facilities committee. And Director Wolfer graciously had said that he would be willing to step into that position. And I just, if there's anybody else that has a burning desire to do that, I would just appoint Director Wolfer. And then I think in July, when we meet and we start talking about all of the committees and who wants to be on whatnot, that we can make an assessment there. But is there anybody other than Director Wolfer willing to stand up and be the facilities guy? Okay, well, that's easy.
You're it.
And I am going to appoint Director Wolfer to the facilities committee, effective immediately. Okay, so I see that we have our numbers. Do we want to talk about this? Anybody have questions about this document that our monthly counts?
Yeah, it's just kind of to keep you updated, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I have, hold on, so sorry.
Oh, I bumped over. Well, we'll do this first.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I just briefly today did a little looking back at and comparing the numbers from, I think we had this report January, February, March now. And it really, we're not fluctuating too much. And I just want to confirm with you, Mr. Parker, that that is your read. We really kind of went up and down just a handful of students.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's basically where we're at.
Okay.
Where, you know, the October census is kind of the first date. They do the first real count. And then basically from October through June, you kind of lose students gradually through the year. I'd say right now we're kind of maintaining. I wouldn't say we're definitely not growing. But I wouldn't say that we're losing things that I wouldn't normally see as kids and families make choices about where they want to be.
Yeah, in looking at the January report compared to the March, the student FTE ADM number is the exact same in January as it is in March. Went down a student and a half in February, but it's now back at 3965.5. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to note that
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes you hear things out in the community that, you know, the exodus continues or begins again. And I like numbers and I like data. So thank you for providing them.
Okay. Do you want to start with your?
I do, mostly because I want to just give an update on Dundee, since we were just talking about kind of the facilities committee. I wanted to update everyone where we're at. We've had several offers that we've entertained. Some have been below the amount that we need to clear the debt on Dundee, and some have been above. We've worked with all of those groups. Each of them have had different positives. We're currently working with a group. It's got an above, the offer is above what we need to clear the property. They're currently working on preparing kind of a contract, and then we'll kind of wait and see where that goes. But we are moving forward on that. I would also say we're also looking at kind of plan B, that if we're not able to get the sale to happen in the time period that we want, kind of what's our next step there to kind of extend and make sure that we take an offer that's good. So I don't know, Jeremy, if you want to add in any of your thoughts around that, but that's kind of where we're at.
No, from the discussions I had and Director DeHart had with you in any prior discussions, yeah, it seems like at this point, this is our best viable option to get what we need. And with this offer or not, I think we do have to have a partnership with Dundee and to help get things moving and rolling, just some like zone changes, et cetera. But I think we're all excited to move forward with the property changes. So that's,
Yeah,
we just need to see how this one works out.
that's it for me.
So Director Byerly, this is a time when board members get to say whatever they kind of want to say, something they're celebrating in the school or something they're looking forward to doing, something they've attended, just to sort of share.
All right. Well, I will say my daughters are good friends with a lot of the theater students, and I'm excited that we're going to see the Games of Foot this Saturday. So very excited to see the latest theater production.
It was very fun. It was Director Woodward and I went on Friday. It was a very fun play.
I don't have a lot this month. I'm excited that our board is now full again. It feels nice. And yeah, I'm looking forward to wrapping up this spring term and moving on to the last trimester of the year.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm glad we've closed some chapters, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future holds. And glad we have a full board again, and just really excited for what's coming. So
Well, I'm so glad that you've joined this group. It's going to be great. I've enjoyed talking with you prior to this and sort of getting to know you. So I'm very excited. Also want to say congratulations to at least cheer and wrestling, who I know have taken state titles again. And I'm sure there are other accomplishments through the schools. I'm just not aware of all of them at the moment. The play was so much fun. And I've really enjoyed, Nancy and I've gone to almost all of, I think Nancy's probably gone to all of them. I missed the Shakespeare, and the production quality and the students work so hard, and it is amazing to me what happens at those fun events. And I really would encourage the community to go. It's a fun way to spend an evening in Newburgh. So March 19th, I won't be here at the next board meeting, but March 19th is the Chamber of Commerce celebration, and our very own Dr. Radich has been awarded Volunteer of the Year. And so I wanted to say congratulations, Dr. Radich, very well deserved. And I am sad that I'm not going to be able to be there to see that award. And I think I just want to say it's Classified Week celebration.
Yes.
And so thank you to the very hardworking folks who fall under that umbrella, because they are hardworking and make things move and do all sorts of things that I'm sure I don't even quite understand, but I very much appreciate their efforts and all that they do. So that's what I have to say.
As Director Bridges said, it was fun to see the latest play, and I just continue to be so thankful for how everybody who works for the school district has pulled together this year. And I know that spring break's coming up, and as a teacher, I remember, I hope everybody gets refreshed and ready for the push to the end of the year, and it comes back focused and has a safe and healthy spring break.
I too would like to welcome Director Barley to the board. I'm very grateful for your expertise and your training, and I know that we are going to put your brain to work. I look forward to that. In the last month, I was able to attend a dual language night and a Title I literacy night at Edwards Elementary. They're really doing a great job with creating events that are accessible to the community. The dual language nights include childcare, which I think is just such a gift, and then usually include some sort of meal. And then the Title I literacy night was just super fun. They had games and pizza for the kids. So I just wanted to extend my gratitude for them. I know that those after hours events are not easy, and the administration is working really hard to make those events impactful and useful for the community. And with the community, I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I have been receiving a lot of messages of concern from community members who are concerned about the budget systems at the state and at the federal level. And I want to communicate that I am open to hearing any of those concerns. I know that we all are, and that we are all working hard to stay abreast of all the information. Just this week, yesterday, I had to write down the name of it, so I didn't forget. It was the Joint Committee on Ways and Means Subcommittee on Education, which was an overview of the governor's budget for the state school fund. And it's available on the Oregon Legislature website, but I just thought it was a very good overview of what we're looking at, what we're dealing with. And if anybody in the public is feeling like we are not communicating about state or federal budgets, it's just that we don't yet know. And we are doing our best to stay on top of things and prepare everything that we can. I know that Nate is working so hard to be prepared here so that we will be prepared for any changes that come our way. And I also wanted to communicate, which I clarified with Dave Parker today, that we have not received any information on federal funding yet. I know that question has been asked a lot, and people are concerned, and rightly so, but the district has yet to receive any update to any of our federally funded programs. So I just wanted to communicate that to anybody who is concerned, that I share in your concern. But I really do have great trust in our systems here, and I look forward to starting the budget cycle sort of officially next week on Tuesday night. That is all.
Yeah, thanks, Director Nichols, for the update on the budget and a reminder for us all. Again, welcome, Director Byerly. Nice to have you aboard and have our final seats filled again. Appreciate that. The discussion actually we had with you sparked a comment from Chair Bridges about how we can get back to, hearing about our updates and everything. And it made me think, and this is going to be kind of pointed to you, Dave, is that the last couple of years of our reports that we've gotten from the schools, it's always been like they're always looking at the positives, which is great. I want to hear the positives. And like maybe some of we still need to get maybe our attendance up because we have a target of attendance of 90%, 95%. Whatever. Those are also great. I also want to hear from the administrators of what do they need from us? Like what if they had a magic wand that they can ask the school board to do something for them? I want to hear kind of maybe what issues are they having that need our help to solve for? I don't know. I don't know if that's. I think you guys understand what I'm saying, right? So, because I think that's going to be more of the meat and potatoes of what we can maybe do for them. We love to hear about the academics and the attendance and just the community they build. But I think for us to help move things forward, I think we need to hear about what their challenges are and how we can help them make challenges. So. That's kind of all I have right now. So thanks, everybody.
Could I add just one thing? I got caught a little flat-footed going first, but I would be remiss to not say thank you just for your trust in me. It's a great honor to be able to join you all here on this side of the table, and I very much look forward to working with you all. So I can't let the opportunity go by to say that. Thank you.
Well, on that note, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Great meeting. This was a very exciting day in many ways. So we're adjourned. Okay, bye.